Yippee-Ki-Yay, Mother.
Welcome to the party, pal.
Welcome to another edition of Yippee-Ki-Yay Mother Podcast. I'm Ralph Quartucci.
I'm Sean Paul Murphy.
I'm Debbie Murphy.
I'm Michelle Wojciechowski.
I'm Brad Barowie.
I'm John Quattrucci.
I'm Drew Gould.
And we have a new face today. We have Ralph and our niece, Julia Quattrucci. Say hi, Julia.
Hey, it's me.
Straight
Special
from
guest.
Stoughton, Massachusetts. Julia, see who sponsors our show right here?
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Town Spa Pizza. Hello, everybody. Hello, Julia. Welcome aboard this fun trip we're doing. Welcome to our table. We call it our table because it started on a pool table. So if you hear me say table, that's why.
Just like
So how is everybody? How is everyone? Good?
We're
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right. Well, tonight's film, John Quattrucci has brought to the table. But before we get there, let's talk about recommendations for the week. Okay. Let's start with Drew.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do one of the four things that I was going to recommend, but I understand we're tight for time because we have a lot of singing to do. I'm actually going to do a review that's also a public service message. I had the great misfortune of doing one of those rentals for $20 because it can't be in the theaters.
Oh, no.
I spent $19.99 to watch Antebellum, the new movie with Janelle Monáe, and that is a hot piece of garbage. That trash. It's like a Grindhouse episode of Black Mirror, but not a good one. It wants to be this really smart genre movie about slavery and the experience of being black in America, like Get Out was, but it's not. And it's really sort of pornographically violent and horrifying without paying off anything. Like, I don't have a problem with that in a movie telling a story. 12 Years a Slave is pretty hard to watch. But, there are other movies that have done the genre approach to this, like Django Unchained, obviously, and one of my secret pleasures, Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter, which is not great, but way better than this movie.
So your recommendation, Drew, is to not watch this movie.
Please don't watch it.
Okay.
My wife.
I'm gonna write that one down.
Yeah.
You did it for us?
Yeah, I didn't mean to, but yes, you're welcome. My wife was so angry about how bad it was that she says we need to get our $19.99 back from Janelle Monáe, who stars in the movie, who I normally love, and she's not bad in it. It's just terrible. And I said I'm going to carry around a penny, so if I ever run into her and she only has a 20, I'll be able to take that money.
Excellent.
Don't see it.
Wow.
Do it.
Well, there you go. Wojo and Brad, you're square.
We watched 1BR, which stands for One Bedroom, on Netflix. It's a new movie. Creepy as hell. We both really liked it. It's got some gore. I mean, some, violence that I just, put the blanket, tell him to tell me when to look. But we both really like the ending. It's an ending that doesn't explain everything. And sometimes it's good just to let it go. So we weren't sure if we were going to like it or not. And it kept coming up, you'll like this movie. And I'm thinking, yeah, because we watch gore and creepy stuff all the time. Not at all.
It's called what? 1BR?
1BR.
Okay. And who directed, who made it? Who is it? Stephen King novel or just?
No.
Okay.
No.
Excellent.
Current, yeah, but
He's going to look it
I'd like
up.
to look up and
All right.
did it.
All right. Well, while you do that, tell us, John, jump in. What do you got?
Well, nothing with gore or anything. For those of you who don't know, I'm a huge Elvis fan, which probably seems surprising.
Shocker.
So I happen to watch Viva Las Vegas, and Elvis at his peak and Anne Margaret at her peak, and the two of them together, electricity. Great movie. If you want to watch an Elvis movie, that's the one to watch. Excellent movie, and they're great together. That's it.
Fantastic. Debbie and Sean, your square is up.
Well, we're going to go with, oddly enough, the same day we watched the film we're about to watch. Royal Wedding was on.
Oh, yeah.
Was
Nice.
on Turner Classic Movies. Not one of the world-class musicals, despite, the presence of Fred Astaire. However, it has one scene that is absolutely amazing, that competes with what we watched tonight. And that's the scene you probably all saw
Dancing
it,
on the ceiling.
where he dances around the walls and the ceilings and all. And I tell you what, you can sit there and watch that, and you can know exactly how they filmed it and how they created it. And, because it was obviously done practically. But it's still amazing, even when you know it's a trick. It is,
Right.
It's trick photography and how they're rotating it. It is still absolutely amazing. And it does little tricks like you think, well, it's already switched, but no, not quite. But then I switch it. It's an absolutely amazing dance number. It's an amazing technical piece.
And he's so graceful when he's bouncing from the wall to the floor to the ceiling. It is pretty incredible the way they did that.
Yeah. So that was, it's an easy musical to get because it fell into public domain. So, I mean, like when DVDs first came out, like every company offered a copy of Royal Wedding, but, all the bottom feeders, but it's an amazing scene. It's worth seeing for that scene alone.
Yeah, it's great.
It's funny. Go ahead, Debbie.
I just wanted to jump in here and tell John this. Our granddaughter is related to Elvis Presley.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we were trying to show her Viva Las Vegas.
All right.
We'll talk
Does that-
after the
Didn't wanna watch
podcast.
it.
We'll talk after the podcast.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
There was one of my favorite Honda ads ever done was an ad where Honda is up on a wall like a piece of art, and the guy gets in the Honda and drives away, and they use the same technique they used in that royal wedding, with the
The rotating room.
amazing shot. All right, I want to talk about.
Wait, Ralph, before you go, we should ask our guest,
Oh,
Julia.
okay.
Any
Julia.
recommendations you want to make? Just one, though. We got to keep it short.
Just one. Jeez. Well, one of my favorite movies this year, I went to Belgium and I took myself to a movie theater by myself because that's what I was doing. And I watched a movie in French, dubbed in Dutch. And it was like a forbidden love timepiece, and I didn't understand any of it. Hysterical by the end of it because it was just like so moving. And it's called Portrait of a Lady on Fire.
Oh, I really want to see that.
But it was a gorgeous movie, like beautifully shot, and watching it in a different country in like an independent theater by myself, listening to it in one language and reading it in another and not understanding it. It was beautiful.
But you did understand just what you were seeing.
Oh,
obviously.
I mean, when a film is shot like that, where you can just feel it and you don't even have to listen to the words, like it was really great. So
Oh, that's
I've
awesome.
seen trailers for that film. It looks phenomenal.
it's very, very good.
Yeah.
It's on Hulu.
Nice. All right. Good poll.
All right, Ralph, we're coming up on the 7-minute mark. Make it quick.
Now it's my turn. I watched a documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma. Has anyone seen this?
No, but that did come up.
If you do, you'll never want to get on your phone again.
Oh, yeah, you
Number
told
one.
me about this. Yeah.
It's amazing breakdown of what all these companies are doing to keep us staring at our phone and to keep all the information on us. And it's all these interviews with guys who are in the tech industry. And the main guy, I can't think of his name right now, is a guy who quit Google to create a humane social media company. And he does a lot of TED Talks, I guess. But it's a pretty brutal breakdown of these insiders telling us what they do to keep us hooked on our phone, and the psychological stuff that goes on every time we click something and why we're choosing that one. And they do this kind of nice behind the scenes of the AI that's involved in what people are doing to keep us hooked. It's an amazing documentary, and it kind of freaks me out a little bit. If I didn't have to keep my phone for work, there were apps on there I just wanted to get rid of, news apps that I look at all the time that I'm always curating and watching, and because they just know how to get right to what you need
It's
to
like-
keep you on the phone.
But they also,
Amazing.
it's like Amazon. They do the same thing on Amazon. You look up something, all of a sudden you're getting all these.
It's all of them. All of them are
pop-up
doing
windows.
it.
Yeah.
And they thought when these are all engineers who started in the business, they all thought they were doing good for the world. And, some things are good. Some of the stuff that comes out of social media is good stuff. People, with the fire, anything. Think about all the good things that come out. But once money gets involved and corporations get involved, that's when it all gets skewed. And this is what the doc kind of broke down. Amazing show. It's really, really well done.
Excellent.
So, all right. So, what'd you say?
I said I'm afraid to watch it.
Yeah, text me. I'll tell you what to do.
I didn't want Debbie to watch it.
I'll
She
send you a
begged us to
link.
get rid of stuff.
And that's
I'll
everything.
send
And by
you a
the
link.
way, subscribe, hit the notification button, and hit
Yeah.
the like on
Yeah.
social media.
I feel so bad doing that, but you got to do it.
Oh, that's right. You just killed us. Now we only have 5 left.
All right, John, Tell us what you brought to the
Okay,
table.
so this week, and I explained this last podcast, but I'm going to explain it again for Julia. I wasn't sure which movie I was going to pick. It was between this and maybe Citizen Kane. And then Julia texted me and asked me if we were going to do Singing in the Rain, which is the movie I picked. And if we did it, oh, very nice. Could she be on it? Well, that settled it for me. So that's the movie I'm going to pick. So Singing in the Rain is considered the greatest American movie musical of all time. And for most people who watch it, you can certainly understand why. It was a little different than musicals up to that point, where it really had a solid story about the transition from silent to talking pictures. So it had a little more structure than most musicals at the time, where usual, we're going to put on a show, that type of thing. The way it started was Arthur Freed, who had the Freed unit at MGM, who did all the big musicals, had all these songs he wrote and all the songs that are in the movie. So he went to Betty Comden and Adolph Green, who were big writers in the movies back then, and said, here's the songs. I want you to build a script around these songs. And one of the songs was Singing in the Rain. So they created it. And then Gene Kelly, who was at the height of his power because he had just made American in Paris, which was going to go on to win the Academy Award for Best Picture. They brought it to him. He wasn't the first choice. I can't even remember who it was, but it was something different anyway. It's going to be a Western star who was going into talkies. That's how it was originally went, not a vaudeville guy. So they went to Gene Kelly. Gene Kelly took a look at it. They brought on Stanley Donen, and the two of them co-directed it. Donen did the acting. Gene Kelly did everything else. He brought in Donald O'Connor, who they originally wanted to bring in his buddy from American in Paris, but that guy couldn't really dance. So they brought in Donald O'Connor, and Donald O'Connor says, yeah, it was really weird the way it happened. They asked me to do it, and I said yes. That's what he said. Now, Donald O'Connor is a hoofer. He's not a dancer like Gene Kelly. So for him, it was real difficult because hoofers dance from the waist down. They don't do the hands. Gene Kelly got him to do that, and it was a tough thing. And they also brought in 18-year-old Debbie Reynolds, who was 19 when they started filming. She was only a gymnast. She wasn't a dancer. So she had some issues because it was tougher. And Gene Kelly, who I love, and I've read so many books on Gene Kelly, was a taskmaster. He was a perfectionist. So at one point, I'm going to tell this one little story. At one point, they were rehearsing Good Morning, Good Morning. That was the first number she had to do. They rehearsed it for 3 months. One day, she's under a piano, bawling her eyes out during a break. And all of a sudden, she sees these legs. And someone bends down, and it's Fred Astaire. And Fred Astaire says, what's going on? She goes, I just can't get this right. My feet are bleeding. I'm sore. He goes, come with me. He brought her into the studio because he was also at MGM. And the one thing Fred Astaire never did was let people watch him rehearse. He never did that. He always rehearsed by himself. He had her sit down for 2 hours and watch him rehearse and watch how frustrated he got and how angry he got, how it wasn't happening. And she finally said to her, look, you just got to keep working harder and harder. And if you look at that number, those two, Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor, have been dancing forever. She never did that. She kept up with those guys. Yeah. And another thing that happened was Gene Kelly started bawling out Donald O'Connor after a dance number. And he didn't really understand why, but he said, okay, whatever. So then Gene Kelly goes up to him afterwards when they're by themselves. He goes, look, that wasn't for you. That was for her. But I knew that if I yelled at her, I would lose her for the rest of the shoot. So I put that on you. So I just want you to know, I don't want you to take it. He goes, that's fine. Don't ever do it again. That's what he said. So I love this movie because it's a joyful movie. It's not cynical in any way. The performances are great, especially Jean Hagen, who played Lamont. And the thing about her is she was Danny Thomas's wife in Make Room for Daddy. And if you looked at them, you would never know it was the same person. So there's one scene where Debbie Reynolds is dubbing Lamont, the singing and the speaking voice. Well, the speaking voice was actually Jean Hagen's real voice. It wasn't a dubbed voice. And the singing voice was actually someone else dubbing Debbie Reynolds, dubbing Jean Hagen.
Amazing stuff. Almost makes you want to like the movie, really.
So,
wait, do you want to see a trailer or do you want to keep going? Because
You see, I just love talking about this movie, but yeah,
I
let's
got
watch
it.
the
That's
trailer.
why I want to know.
Let's watch the trailer. I got a lot of notes here, Ralph.
Okay, I know. And now the original trailer I got was 4 minutes long.
Well, yeah, we don't want to.
This is not that trailer because I couldn't sit through that one again. But here you go.
Singing in the rain, just singing in the rain.
All I do is dream of you the whole night through. With the dawn, I still go on dreaming of you. You're every thought, you're everything, you're every song I ever sing. Summer, winter, autumn.
It has a fiddle ready for love. I can jump over the moon up above. It has a fiddle and ready for love.
What have I got?
I don't know. What have you got?
I gotta get out of here.
All right, enough.
Fit as a fiddle and ready.
Sorry. Enough.
So
Enough.
a couple other things.
Enough.
Couple
Enough
other
of
things.
that.
It's a period piece, obviously set in the 20s. A lot of the things that happen in the movie are based on real things that happened to silent stars transitioning to sound.
Yeah.
So a lot of those stories are actually real. The cameos in it, a 17-year-old Rita Moreno played Zelda. Her scenes actually got cut, but she was in it there for a minute. Kathleen, I can't even think of her last name. She was the nun in Blues Brothers. Kathleen Freeman.
He played the vocal coach.
Yeah.
She was in it.
Mm-hmm.
And the music is great, but the two numbers that I love the most, obviously I love the Singing in the Rain number, and originally it was supposed to be done by all three of them, but thank God they changed it to what he ended up doing. And the other one, my favorite number in the movie is Moses Supposes, because the way those two dance together is unbelievable. Now, I'm going to drop. So I've done a lot of musical theater, and we have to dance, but like I can move in rhythm, but that stuff, I'm amazed by it. They don't look at each other. They're in perfect lockstep, perfect synchronized dancing. It's incredible. And it's just a movie that the whole time I'm watching, I'm just smiling. And when I'm done with it, I just feel happy. That's why I love this movie. And I love Gene Kelly. To me, I love Fred Astaire, but Gene Kelly, where Fred Astaire is elegant and moves gracefully, Gene Kelly is a masculine dancer. Like, he punches things and the way he moves, it's just incredible. I love it. So anyway, that's my take on it.
One quibble before I go to Julia, because I want to go to the millennial before everybody else. Is that okay? The solid story that you said was wrapped around, I get it about the silent movie stuff, but I'll quibble on whether it was a solid story or not. And how
I'm saying relatively speaking, the way music was made.
I read that it was a script.
It was
designed. They had the music already, and they said, "Hey, fill it in with script. We got all the dance scenes. That whole Broadway number that he does for 17 minutes. What's that have to do with the story? Nothing." But anyway, Julia, take it away, old soul.
So I watched this movie for the first time when I was 7 with my other grandmother, so not your mother, and she's like, "I love this movie, like classic." And I remember just like watching it and like I don't think I'd ever seen a musical at that point, because or like on TV, and just like falling in love with like the tap dancing and the make 'em laugh scene when he's just like flipping off the walls and all that. And I probably watched this movie like once or twice a year since that point. And just like a little tidbit funny story, my dad, so your brother, used to play Good Morning every single morning for an entire school year at 7. And we were just like, what the hell? Like, I look back and I'm like, I miss him playing Good Morning to like that song, and he do it up all the time. Watching it as an adult, like you said, it feels like this movie was made for Gene Kelly. He made this movie for himself so he could showcase his dancing and all that jazz. But again, it is just like very fun and good, and I love all the songs. Yeah, but I don't know. I love it. Like,
Look, you're smiling just talking.
Well,
about
first
it.
of all,
it's like it's a good feel good movie, and I mean, yeah.
my dad played every morning Folsom Prison Blues by Johnny Cash. That's what I heard.
And John Philip Sousa.
That
a little bit of
explains
that. Well,
a
he
lot.
also loved, remember Moody Blues?
Yeah.
Days of Future Past, because there was an orchestra in that one.
Yeah.
So he
Liked
played
it.
that all the time. All right. So that's, anybody else want to, Drew, I'm interested in Drew's take on this.
Well, when you show
yeah.
when you show the trailer, you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to cut in some moments of John and Julia watching it because they love it, and there's a lot of this to this. And I'm being very honest. It was very sweet, and when somebody loves a movie as much as you guys do, it's sweet to just see it come out when you're seeing it. And there's certain movies we've seen literally 100 times, and they still feel that way, and that's pretty special. I don't know. I had never seen this movie before.
Having said that,
I don't
We
know.
weren't the only ones. Look at that.
No, I know.
I don't know why. It's not like I actively avoided it or something. But it's actually, and I didn't know it was about the transition to sound. I didn't know it was set in 1927. These are all things that I'm interested in.
that's all right. He's saying his piece.
Yeah, Hazy, give me a break, kid. So, it's a movie that's shot about a transition when everybody's lives and careers were up in the air, and it was shot in the 50s during a transition when the Supreme Court said the studios can't own theaters, and the television is born, and the Red Scare is happening. And so there's all this tension in this story that I didn't expect, and that's got my dog super worked up. Also, I don't know why I didn't watch it because I don't remember a lot of Oscar moments, but when Stanley Donen won the honorary Oscar, it was very sweet, and he started singing Dancing Cheek to Cheek, holding it up to his face, and it's one of those very genuinely sweet Oscar moments, so that was really nice. But I'm looking at, so I took some notes, and when Debbie Reynolds threw that pie and Miss Gene Kelly, I actually said out loud, "Oh shit." That shot of Debbie Reynolds on the ladder when he set the scene and then it cuts to her is just beautiful. And I really enjoyed it. It's a really joyous and wonderful movie. The singing in the rain scene, which of course I've seen in every montage of classic films or whatever, that I had no idea how it fit into the story. So he is in love and he can't help himself and he's joyful, and it was just lovely. So, it's not going to be my favorite movie. It doesn't have enough Mad Max in it, but
I was going to say, it's not set in the desert.
It's a very, very fine film, and I get why it's so special. And Gene Kelly, man, I mean, there's really nobody like him as far as the way that you guys were talking about, the way he dances, the way he moves. And I mean, he's like, Tom Cruise is the best runner ever. The dancing, so thanks for bringing it to the conversation, because I really enjoyed it.
Excellent. Sean, Debbie, over there in that square.
Well, I got to say, I was recently doing my list of, I'm going to put up on my blog my top 100 favorite films. This film is number 2 on the list, so obviously I like it.
Wow.
I like it a great deal.
What's number 1? Slapshot?
The Counselor.
I knew that.
Hudsucker
Proxy.
You'll have to wait for the blog to see that. The hard part is getting all those ones in the 70s and 80s in the right order, and those. But I just love this film. I had it on Super 8. I mean, I saw it as a kid. It's like, Gene Kelly's amazing. The dancing's amazing, especially once I learned to dance. I'm like, once I took dance lessons and could dance, I appreciated it all the more. And it's amazing to watch these two guys, Gene Kelly and Donald O'Connor, dancing together. And then that plucky little Debbie Reynolds in there, who is absolutely adorable. She is amazing. She is so sweet. Who could not fall in love with her watching this movie? And I always loved movies about the movies. And this is one of the best movies about the movies. It's a lot of fun. As I've gotten older, and it's funny because on one of the commentary tracks, a special feature, someone brought this up. It's like, they are really mean to that Lena character. One person was saying, I could see her leaving that theater and going home and killing herself after that public humiliation. But they do get the right note by having her basically wanting to steal,
Right.
Kathy's career.
Right.
So then she does deserve the fate they put on her. I mean, what did they think she was? Stupid?
She was my favorite character in the film.
Yeah, she was great in that.
I loved it when every time they said that line, they said it like 4 times, and everybody just kind of looks at each other.
Yeah. Well, one thing I loved about this film is sort of like the concept, because we're sort of in the transition, when talkies went to motion pictures when they were speaking. We were kind of doing this deja vu thing all over again with podcasts. When you remember it started with, the old people remember where our grandparents would tell us stories about listening to the radio.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And then it went from the radio to motion pictures. And then from there to talkies, and sort of like, we don't got nothing, Just another
We have
for
this.
entertainment. We have the podcast. Thank God for Tuesdays, right? But another thing too, Debbie Reynolds, Carrie Fisher, we had the pleasure of seeing her in concert, and she said her mother would call her and say, she goes, "This is your mother, Debbie Reynolds."
Yeah. That literally, anytime her mother called her, she would always say, "Hi, this is your mother, Debbie Reynolds."
In case she forgot.
Yeah, but another thing too, I want to say, I'll just throw this out there and I'm done. But is like Sid Charisse, the dancing part. This is the way I feel about Debbie Reynolds, because everybody loves Debbie. I think she could have done that scene, and it would have been more, we could go back to fix the movie. I would have had Debbie do the whole thing, because it sort of like cut the movie in half.
Yeah, Debbie Reynolds couldn't do the ballet.
No, they didn't.
No, I mean
Gene Kelly wanted Sid to do it.
Yeah, he said he
'Cause
wouldn't
thought
put
she
her.
was the better dancer.
He wouldn't put her in that position because it was way too difficult a number for her to do.
Well,
just the way he pulled her up in that scene, where she throws up.
Sid Charisse was, and it was a fantasy number too. So
it took me out of the movie. I mean,
yeah, because it had nothing to do with the film.
No,
Okay.
it had
All right,
everything
no.
to do with the film.
Sorry.
Yeah, it did. The gangsters and okay.
Yeah, I'm with you, Ralph. I see.
Well, I mean, Sid Charisse was great. I mean,
yeah,
she was
doesn't love
beautiful,
Sid?
and I think she got a movie contract out of this. She had never been
with
in
Fred
film
Astaire.
before.
Yeah.
And then ballet's the only thing she'd ever done. So this was, and I heard some stuff about having to cover up her private parts.
Yeah, we saw that.
Oh,
The scarf scene.
Yeah. I have to freeze frame, but I didn't see any of that stuff. Wojo, do you guys like it or not?
We did.
Dramatic.
But I didn't expect to. I'll tell you why. You know how we've talked before about there are certain times where, depending on what's going on in your life, you either like a movie or you don't. Well, the only time we could really watch this was Saturday night. And the last thing I felt like doing Saturday night was watching a musical. And I thought, oh, I'm going to hate this. I know I'm going to hate it.
Wait, had you not seen this?
No, we had never
Okay.
seen this.
Yeah.
And I kept thinking, I just am good. Because actually we were arguing because I said, I know, hard to believe, yet true. I said, I really don't want to watch this tonight. And he said, well, the Ravens game's tomorrow and then blah, blah, blah. And then I wind up rushing it and da-da-da-da. So it was basically the only time we could watch it. So I went into it fully expecting to not like it at all.
Because of the frame of mind you were in.
Yes, because of the frame of mind I was in. And it just made me so happy. It did. I mean, probably my favorite dance sequence was Make 'Em Laugh. I mean, I just loved that. And then when I read about it and read that Donald O'Connor wound up in the hospital,
I did
that scene, and then Gene Kelly had to tell him that they screwed up and had fogged the front of the lens, and he had to do it again. And he said he would do it again. I mean, I felt for that guy, because it was funny, because like John had mentioned how Fred Astaire let Debbie Reynolds, watch him practice. watching Donald O'Connor do those dance moves, I said to Brad, he must be covered in bruises. I mean, just how he was throwing himself on the floor and doing this and doing that, but it looks so flawless.
It looked effortless.
Yeah.
And he smokes 4 packs of cigarettes.
Yeah, I
He smokes 4 packs of cigarettes a day.
He had
He wasn't huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
Real
And he
bad
said
rug
the cement floor was really hard and all that. And like you said, he had to redo it
Yeah.
after being in the
And
hospital for 3 days.
today, they won't let dancers dance on cement floors for movies. I mean, that's been a long time thing. In fact, when they did Michael Jackson's Thriller video, a lot of the dancers in there sued and said they weren't coming back to work because they were making them dance on concrete. So
really?
that makes a huge difference when you're dancing and in what it's going to
That's
do to
hard
the
on your
rest of your
body.
body. So, but we both really, really like this movie.
Brad, anything you want to add?
Yeah, well, of course I loved all the numbers and the dancing. And I mean, so I was watching some of those dance moves. I mean, I'm thinking all the technology we have today and all the little camera tricks and everything they can do now. And all of that was just them dancing. And I'm thinking, how do you even make your body move that way? As I was thinking a couple times. But yeah, it was really enjoyable. And even the little scene, like the one scene I really loved a lot, a non-musical scene, was when they kept trying to find a place for the mic.
Yeah.
And then at one point they heard her heart beating.
Yeah.
Then the guy comes in and pulls the cord. Oh yeah, it was just really funny. And
When he yanked the cord, she goes flipping off the
yeah.
Uh-huh.
But no, just like everybody else. I mean, it was just made you happy. It was just a movie. But I didn't expect to not like it like Michelle, but I was a little surprised, kind of like along the lines of what Drew was saying, is I really didn't know the story of it. And I just think, it's just a musical. But it was a very interesting story about the transition and everything. I really enjoyed that part of it too. So
it was nice having a musical that had what we both considered a strong story. Because a lot of times it's just, we're going to sing, we're going to dance, we'll throw a little bit in here. So it makes it look like it's
And that was what was so different about this movie. This was different.
Yeah.
Ralph, why did you switch cameras?
Camera 1 died. So I had to switch to camera 2. But wait, camera 1's back.
All right, I was worried.
Woo, that goes. All right, is it my turn?
Yes.
Since my camera came back? I guess I am just a cynical a-hole.
No, you think?
I am just going to say, I didn't hate the film, okay?
There's a ring endorsement.
I didn't hate the film. Musicals in general, the conceit of a musical is crappy story around music, okay?
Right.
Except I'd like some good acting in between the music that's going on. And I don't, you know how I am about these old movies, these old in-your-face Broadway. Hey, I'm Gene Kelly. Look at that scene at the beginning where he comes up to the thing and they're doing the interview. I was gone from that minute. Now, He
was a phony. He was supposed to be like that.
No, he's okay. First of all, I was a taskmaster he was beating up on everybody behind the scenes. I love reading about the stuff behind the scenes way more than the film. Do I appreciate the dancing? 100%. That's an art that is amazing to watch him do the things he does. And Donald O'Connor as well. And frankly, Debbie Reynolds, who wasn't a dancer, was flawless as well. I know they're doing it over and over and over, but they get it. The spinning stuff he does where it spins around and flips around, the jazz stuff he does, the singing in the rain. I was amazed at the umbrella work he was doing. Just the spinning of the umbrella and the way he can kick it and it flips it up. And that's most of that scene is in one take. They cut away a little bit, but there are long portions where that goes on for a long time. So that has to be precision. And they had a drought. There's all this stuff going on behind the scenes.
And he had the flu.
Yeah.
I just can't deal with crappy acting. And Don, tell me, that scene you love about what's the song where they do with the guy, the
Moses
speech?
Supposes?
Okay. Why does Donald O'Connor come walking in the room in the middle of his class?
Because it was a duo dance number.
That's exactly right. Exactly.
That's it.
Right. So they have this scene. They're going to connect it. How are we going to do that? Well, let's have the annoying guy come in and interrupt.
Why did the head
class
pop
he's
out
taking.
in Jaws? Why did that head pop out in Jaws?
Okay.
Because that wasn't originally filmed. Why'd they do that?
Don't do that.
For realism.
I know this film was voted number 5 top film ever made.
Yeah.
On some list. I'd like to know who did that list.
Number 2 on mine.
It
number
shows
two on
up
yours.
on everybody's
Honestly,
top 10 list.
honestly, I don't get it because the story, I get the idea that it's the silent film era switching over. I understand that, and Brad's right. My favorite scene is the microphone, the director getting all frustrated about where the mic. That was funny. The woman playing that, what's her name?
Jean Hagen.
Jean Hagen, fantastic. I thought.
What about what about when Kathleen Fremont was doing the diction? Can't.
Yeah, no, but the fun part of that was Hagen. By the way, Hagen. I looked her up. She was in some Streets of San Francisco shows too. Very impressed with that, with Michael Douglas. I just can't get the bad acting in between the songs drives me insane. I can't take myself out of it.
Let me ask.
And I know every
I don't
musical.
think there's a bad acting performance in this movie.
How can you
I think
say
everyone's
that?
the best.
How can you
Because
say that? I don't understand that.
You equate naturalistic acting with good acting.
You thought the guy playing the head of the studio was a good actor?
I thought he was fantastic.
I thought he was.
Back then, they always talk like this. So the head of the studio said,
Everybody looking at each other. With that scene at the end where they got
I'm here
Debbie
to do
Reynolds
this.
behind,
Blah,
the
blah,
three of them
blah,
are
blah.
looking at each other. Let's do this. We're going to
exactly.
But Ralph,
See?
No.
Leah
Yes, Drew.
completely
Wait,
has
Drew,
it.
what,
That's
Drew, what?
exactly
I
what
want to
it
hear what Drew
was.
has to say.
Ralph, it's actually a period film. So do you not like the way people acted in the 50s, or do you not like the way people acted like they were acting like in the 20s in the 50s? Because
I guess I don't like the way they acted. And I don't like that style of acting.
I mean, that's totally fair. But I mean,
that's how I just don't like it.
It felt like they were.
It takes me completely out of the film. This is again, okay, I'm going to be the contrarian here, completely out. Do I appreciate Singing in the Now? I didn't know Singing in the Rain is a song that's been in a dozen films, including
I didn't either.
A Clockwork Orange, which
But
is why
I didn't know that it had been in like 8 or 9 films before this.
I thought it was created for this film.
No,
it
was originally a Broadway melody, and Ukulele Mike sang it, who was Jiminy Cricket.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
That's
still
a
am
little
glad
tidbit
I
for
never
you.
saw this film, so
Tidbit for you.
it's that. And when I found out that they wrote the scenes in between to fill in all, like that 17-minute Broadway dance scene had nothing to do with the film.
Yeah,
That's right. But the way they put it in
But
the
it was
film,
beautiful.
it had
Here's how they
everything
put
to
it
do.
in. Gene
was,
Kelly goes,
but
I'm
said,
thinking about a dance. Wave,
What's the big
wave.
number going to be like? Let me describe it for you. And
Right.
then when it's over, the guy says, I just can't visualize it.
I get the joke.
After they
Ha,
just
ha,
did a
ha, ha.
17-minute ballet. A 17-minute ballet.
Gotta dance.
That is a
gotta
highlight
dance.
of the movie.
Okay, so let me ask you.
Now, have I been whistling, singing in the rain all day? Yes, I have. Okay. No
well,
lie.
that's something.
That is something.
But with
Small
your
victories.
proclivities, Ralph, that we all know of your proclivities, how exactly does the scene where Cameron Diaz does that to the hood of the car, to the windshield of the car, how does that fit in? That is so realistic because, you know, I talk to my girlfriends all the time and they say, oh, yeah, you remember the first time you screwed the front of a windshield?
Ralph, what do you get to say about that?
Nobody says
Is
that.
good
You know,
acting, Ralph?
John brought up Jaws to compare. I'm got a little upset at that. Now I'm pissed off, okay? You don't bring up the counselor to compare to Singing in the Rain. There's something wrong with
So,
you
Ralph,
to do
Ralph,
that,
you
not
did-
me.
when
I
this
never
movie
even
was
put 2
over-
and 2 together.
When this movie was
Okay.
over, you just thought it was bad acting. I didn't like it. You didn't feel any, like everybody's smiling describing this movie. Everybody. And
Okay,
you didn't feel that at all.
No, I was up. I'm like, Jesus, when is this thing going to be over?
Wow.
And I fell asleep. And the scene I missed, which I went back and got, is the best scene in the movie, which is Donald O'Connor's Make 'Em Laugh. Okay. Where he's flipping around and doing all that stuff. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the dancing they did. But I can't, when Donald O'Connor comes, it's just that thing. I just can't stand that. When he runs
They
in
throw the
that
trash on him like that. You don't get that?
I get it. I get it.
No,
I
I'm
don't
agreeing
like
with
it.
you. Like it doesn't make
I
sense.
don't like the acting in between.
Okay.
Take West Side Story. I cared about Tony in West Side Story because he was a good actor. Grease, great acting in between all that music.
Grease?
Okay. Grease.
Did you
is
just
a
say
musical,
Grease
is it not?
had great acting in it?
I did.
Grease. The
You
movie
didn't
Wait a
Grease.
minute. Who was doing that acting in Grease?
Sandy. I'm 31.
You're saying those are
We're
bad
all in
actors.
our
in there.
30s.
No, what I'm saying is, Ralph, what I'm saying is, You're throwing on a musical, Grease, and you're going to use that now. West Side Story, I'll give you. I mean,
I'm admitting I'm
Academy
ignorant.
Awards right there.
John.
Bernardo.
You're not going to sell me. You're not
Rita
going to
Moreno.
sell me on Singing in the Rain.
No,
Well,
okay. But no, because
I'm not the audience for Singing in the
it's
Rain.
not even the acting that's bothering me that you're saying. You're saying it didn't have much of a story. The whole point that made this movie one of the greatest musicals ever was the fact that it had a story, a real story, unlike musicals prior to that. This had a story. You can say the story was
and
written.
frankly, there was some technical things he did in this film that were pretty cool. Some of the cross dissolves between the silent to the sound and vice versa. He was doing some wipes that I hadn't seen in a film like this. Some things he was doing technically, creatively.
So you didn't like the
John's
story.
gonna have a stroke
but you
around
liked
which
the
part
wipes?
or
I
The highlight of the movie was the
drop dead
wipes.
first.
Okay,
What is the most famous?
I have a question for you,
Yes.
Ralph.
Yes,
Ralph,
ma'am.
if I
Yes.
may.
Yes, Debbie, please.
What do you think of Debbie Reynolds' performance?
You guys are right. She was adorable.
Oh, she was. And here's another thing that
She
bothers
fell in
me.
love with him awful quick, though.
Yeah, well, not really.
Well, just look at the way most women fall in love with
He
me.
was 19 and he was 40.
I was just going to say, Ralph, that happens to you every weekend. Give me a break.
What
Come
am I gonna do?
on. I fall in love with you every weekend.
But
Boom.
here's where I defend Ralph's criticism of this film, and I just only see it as just a small criticism. Please, everybody relax. I love the film too, but there's just when Sid Charisse took over. Now somebody else took over for Debbie Reynolds, and his name was her name was Liz Taylor.
Oh.
I'm
With
gonna
Eddie
bring
Fisher?
it back. I'm gonna bring it back. And I love
Wow.
Debbie Reynolds. I'm on the Debbie Reynolds, and God bless her soul. I love her. I think she is so talented, and I think she could have done the ballet.
But I mean,
All I can say
And
is
give her a try. 'Cause
Debbie
she was the main
Reynolds.
character.
I had the same kind of girl crush on Debbie Reynolds on this as with Smokey and the Bandit with
Sally Fields.
Sally Fields.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I find them on the same level.
Wow.
Though Sally Fields was a little more 70s.
Listen, there are some dance scenes I watch in films that almost bring tears to your eyes to watch people do what they do. I'm not going to lie. There are times your breath gets taken away. I can't. This one, I guess I was set up. I guess because you were making such a big deal out of this being the greatest Broadway film or whatever
No,
ever made.
I never said that.
I got the feeling that that's what was being said. And Sean's number 2
Greatest
on his
American musical of all time.
Okay, so there you go.
They call me number 2 all the time.
And I can appreciate Gene Kelly's athletic dancing and all of them. I guess I have trouble in between that stuff. And I just didn't buy I like the story about the silent film coming from the background that I have. I kind of thought that was interesting. Like I said, the microphone scene was a riot. Her voice, what she was doing, that's something that Margot Robbie would do now, or somebody like that would do that. Or even Working Girl, what's her name that did
Melanie
Working Girl
Griffith?
kind of plays that.
Melanie Griffith.
Melanie Griffith could, play that thing. I just can't get past that other stuff. And that's just where I'm at.
So Ralph,
I see
basically, you're saying you probably wouldn't like any film like pre-1967 because they all had the movie's acting style like
They
that.
didn't all have the movie acting style.
Mostly.
You
It's
like
sort
the
of
thing
like
from another world, right?
I hated that.
Yeah,
Right.
that had really bad acting in it.
Yes.
Well,
I
take it
disagree.
back.
I
You
did
like,
no.
you like
dis-
Goldfinger. You did like Goldfinger.
I think I made comments in that about it seemed a little over the top, didn't I? No, I liked Goldfinger. I didn't, Yeah, I guess you're right. I guess as a naturalism started, I guess early 70s.
Yeah.
That's what I vibrate to. But again, West Side Story, I love. I could watch that all the time.
Ralph, don't apologize.
All that jazz.
Ralph,
One of the
don't
greatest
apologize.
musicals ever made. I love.
You have to apologize for not having the reaction that other people, maybe even in your family.
No, I apologize for.
Yeah, Drew, he
I-
does.
No,
I do
He does have to
apologize for
apologize.
I will.
enjoying
He
watching.
doesn't.
I will tell you something though. Sometimes there's movies that I see, and this is not telling you that you're wrong. This is kind of the experience I thought I might have with this movie. Sometimes I see a movie and I go, I don't get it. And then I watch it again. And it's funny because a movie that did that for me recently, did you ever see the Coen Brothers movie, Hail Caesar?
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
We
I hated that.
Yeah, so did
movie.
I.
We
didn't
saw,
like it.
and we love the Coen Brothers. We saw that when it first came out at the movies, and we
I saw the movies also.
Oh, it's like a proxy.
Care for it.
Yeah.
But it's funny because I saw it again, and I think it's really good. And it takes place in the movie business in the 50s, in this era that they when they were making Singing in the Rain. And there's so many jokes in that movie about other movies. Like, I also like movies about the business. They're not all good, but that's interesting.
I do too.
If you haven't seen that movie, I guess this was what, Singing in the Rain 52. So
Yeah.
before that, they did Anchors Away and On the Town. And there's a scene with Channing Tatum singing about having to go out to sea, and it's a shame because there'll be no dames. And it is the most ridiculous dance scene in a movie ever that's both parodying the things that you didn't care for in the movie and also clearly in love with them. And so I think you should probably check that movie out because it might give you an angle.
I will.
Ralph,
Yeah,
here's my thing. Like one of my favorite films is The Searchers, but I think John Wayne gives a modern performance in the film.
Yeah.
But you would hate everybody else in the movie. You might even hate John Wayne. But it's an amazing film, but it's old style acting, which is what John Ford really liked. He really liked like this broad humor, like this good. He'll have a very serious film, very often very dark, and he'd have this broad, practically burlesque level humor in it, and like really broad performances. And I'll tell you, one of the things I like about the Thin Man movies is that I feel that William Powell and Myrna Loy give very modern performances.
Yeah.
But everybody else in their movies, it feels like they're in a 1930s mystery melodrama on the Broadway stage.
Yeah.
And as a result, they are so alive and vibrant in those movies. And, it's sort of like, they're like in an entirely different world than the rest of the actors in their movies, except maybe Nat Pendleton. But, so I know what you're saying, but I think this prejudice of yours is going to close some doors, but you can't help who you are. If you
No,
don't.
I definitely know. You know this about me. I definitely have a prejudice against this style of acting.
Yeah.
Well, and I get it. I give you the business about it, but I get it, Ralph, in that there are certain, we tried to watch, now this was a long time ago. Do you remember we rented Rebel Without a Cause?
Mm-hmm.
And some of James Dean's, we turned it off. Now, it could have been when the time it was, but sometimes he was just like, and we were like, oh, what?
Was that the birth of method acting? Him and Brando.
Yes, it was.
I had to turn that
Well,
off.
the point, what?
I had to turn it off too. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
And so I think, and there are times in which we, like Brad and I watched Gaslight over the summer. He had never seen it and still liked the movie, but have to realize that people are talking like this. And why am I going over there? And then I'm going to go over here. And, and that's just how that was the way they acted. So I get where you're coming from. Sometimes it gets on my nerves, but other times I just suck it up because I want to see what the film's about,
Yeah, I know. I hate to spoil the party because it's,
Well,
obviously
You're
it's a
not
classic.
spoiling the party
Wait,
if you
Julia,
don't just
number
sit here
five,
and say
party.
yay.
We haven't heard from Julia that much. Julia, I want to hear a little more from you. What was your favorite song in the movie?
And why is your uncle an idiot?
In the movie? John, that was going to be my next question, but I was working up to it.
Wait, I said which one's an idiot?
Oh,
Well, I know you don't mean that.
I appreciate that. Thank you, Julia. You can come back.
Favorite song is probably like Make 'Em Laugh, just like for the theatrics
Just
of
because
it.
of the way he did it.
Well, and I watched it and I wanted to do that. And like, I remember being a kid, I'm like, I'm gonna learn how to flip off walls. I'm gonna learn how to tap dance. I'm gonna like get on the floor and do the spin move when it would happen, like when it would go.
Yeah, there was breakdancing in that movie. I loved
yes,
it.
there was.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I was so
You did
into
the Three
and like
Stooges thing.
it inspired me to like, because I did musical theater in high school and things like that, but like this was the movie that kind of like set me off. But to Ralph's point, like I do agree with you, but it's one of these things where I grew up watching this movie. I saw it as a kid and you have this like image of it as a kid and you're like, oh, I love it. And then you look back and you're like, there's a lot like wrong with this, both like in film, but also like she's 19 and he's 40. Like,
Yeah, that's a little
I am with that, and that she just like was wooed by him so easily, even though she was like, I don't see your movies, blah blah blah.
Yeah, they were bullying. They were
Cosmo,
bullying that poor actress. That poor
was that?
actress got bullied. The poor actress got bullied. the
Oh,
whole time.
for sure.
Just
I
because
mean-
her voice wasn't right. That wasn't.
I mean,
right.
she was
That
a pretty
seems wrong.
face, and she
But
was.
that
She was-
happened to a lot of the silent movie people.
Of course it did. Even that thing where you hear the clunk, clunk, clunk when she's tapping him. That's something that actually happened in real life. So IRL.
Well, what about Shelley Duvall on the Shining? They bullied her into that performance.
Okay. Okay.
She
All
was
right.
scared the whole time.
We can't keep bringing up movies to compare why I didn't like this one and bring up other films.
Well,
It
you
doesn't
brought up
make
the
any
great
sense.
acting of Grease.
I'm not going to
I think
defend.
it's the least
I'm not
we
going
can
to
do.
defend Carmen Diaz having sex with that car. I just found it fascinating that they would put it in a movie. Okay, and I can't. Why don't you ask my
Have
favorite
you seen
song?
The Counselor yet?
Nobody's seen The Counselor.
What was your favorite
Yeah,
song
I
in the
saw
movie?
it. It was
Ralph?
horrible.
It has to be Singing in the Rain. That's it. I mean, I've heard all of them. Drew even made a joke. I didn't get it at first about, is this going to go to 1:30? Then I figured out what he was talking about. That was funny. Okay, that was a good one. And Steve, I didn't know Steve played that song. And I have to apologize. I'm sorry you went through that. But every morning to get up for school.
Oh, seriously.
That's
He
child
got that
abuse.
from
I'm going to have
Dad.
to
He
report
definitely
him.
got
I
that
think
from Dad.
That's what Papa did to you guys.
That's exactly.
Just
No, Papa
passing
did.
on, you know?
He did.
You're sleeping your whole life away. Get up.
No,
Yeah,
look,
seriously.
to be fair, I understand the love of this film. It just doesn't do it for me.
It's okay. It's fine.
Simple as that.
We'll now be doing a GoFundMe to provide therapy for Ralph to find out.
I don't think I need therapy. I think it's pretty clear what's
I'm
going on in my head.
kidding.
Okay, here's a question.
Clockwork
I got a
Orange?
question for everybody. All right, the best dancer, is it Fred or this guy?
What's up? Don?
Who,
I
Sean?
just think
no,
Fred Astaire
Astaire
versus.
I just think
Fred Astaire versus
Fred or
Gene Kelly.
Gene?
they're two totally different types
Yes,
of dancers.
What-
So
yeah,
I don't think you can pick one or
we're
the
gonna
other.
Draw the lines. We're going to draw the lines.
I would say by far the most athletic is Gene Kelly. But if you look at the stuff Fred Astaire did, he's probably technically the better dancer. But I could watch Gene. I could watch both of them. I think they're amazing, both of them.
I hate to add, did Gene Kelly do any dramatic stuff?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
remember.
Yeah.
To it.
Yeah,
He was in Inherit the Wind.
yeah.
Played a
He
reporter.
was in the Three Musketeers. It wasn't a musical.
Okay.
He did some dramatic stuff.
Fred Astaire was in Towering Inferno.
Yeah,
Yeah, so was Fred Astaire. He was in
What
all
was
sorts.
that?
they only did one number together. They did one number together, two of them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was a movie that had a bunch of different scenes in it with all their studio people, and they did it was actually very funny because they incorporated both their styles into it. So they had to copy each other's style. It was actually really, really well done. They really respected each other.
I'll say this: as much as I hated Donald O'Connor's character because I couldn't figure out he was a hanger-on, then he became a scriptwriter. It made me interested in seeing more of Donald O'Connor because I found him.
Go rent Francis the Talking Mule. You'll love it.
I've seen that one. I remember, but it did make me interested in seeing his stuff. So I mean, there's that. I can say that
He's beautiful. He had beautiful eyes.
Yeah.
they all did back. I mean,
He
I
was
guess
so
it's just-
good. I mean, and
Yeah.
Gene
Well, here's
Kelly,
a question.
you can tell in the choreography, he worked some of his Donald O'Connor's moves into the choreography. You could tell that. The other thing was that Make 'Em Laugh number. That all came about because he was messing around during a break, and Gene Kelly said, "We got to do a song for this guy." And one of the things he was doing, that dummy, was on the couch during a break, and Donald O'Connor started goofing around with it. So in front of a bunch of people, and they said, "Can you do that again?" And exactly what he did that first time, he did when they shot it. So that whole bit,
Tackled it?
he did one time before.
I'll say this: he knows how to fall off the back of a couch because he did it about 8 times.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
I mean, he was. They were great together. Even the opening number fit as a fiddle. That whole number was great when they were.
well, I'm
together.
surprised the movie starts with Singing in the Rain. Like the three of them, I guess they had to do that
Well,
for
yeah. I mean,
publicity purposes or because Gene wouldn't let him do it together and because Gene was a bit of a taskmaster. He wanted it all for himself. Yeah, I think that's if you really
not
break it down, that's
why.
what's
Now,
going on.
Gene Kelly was a very generous.
he was.
He was a very generous star and actor.
They all say he
always
was a
thought the best-
taskmaster, but he made them way better. Debbie Reynolds said that. She goes, "Everything I became was because of him, because he took the time." And Donald Connor said the same thing. He said he became a better dancer after dancing with Gene Kelly. And
She also said the two hardest things she ever went through were childbirth and singing in the rain.
Yep, absolutely. Like
Frank's
that, when they flipped over the couch, they did 40 takes of that.
Oh my God.
And they used the first take. So that's Gene Kelly.
All right. So, Julia, the way we rate these movies, don't really have to do this, I don't think, but is Yippee-Ki-Yay or Yippee-Ki-Nay? Okay. So we'll let you go first since you are our guest today.
I mean, definitely Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Okay. Everybody else?
Yippee-Ki-Yay.
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 Yippee-Ki-Yay, do 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 do. I got no man crushes out of this film. I just want you to know, 0.
Not even
Except I
Archie's-
kind of like the overacting director. The guy was flipping out about the microphone. He was a bit of an overactor
Yeah,
too.
he
So,
was good.
and the sound guy was probably the best guy. Do you hear him turn and go, "Can't hear the mic"? He was good. I like this. Anyway, so
Drew. Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Yes, I said Yippee-Ki-Yay.
Oh,
He
I
did.
missed it. Sorry.
Missed it.
Yep.
all right.
what'd you
So
say? You're
Sean,
a
you'll be
nay,
bringing this
Ralph?
film next week. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
he's a nay.
Yeah.
We are going to
I
be
said
going.
nay. I did jazz hands to the thumbs down.
Okay.
Next week, we're going to be going with another film from the 70s.
Oh,
back the origins of the original thought of the
Very realistic acting.
where
Sorry about that,
I
you
don't know
guys.
how realistic anything is in the movie, but we are going to go with
My bat phone is going.
we're going to go with a film written by one of my favorite screenwriters, Paddy Chayefsky.
Oof.
This is his. He won 3. He's the only screenwriter to win 3 Oscars as a writer solo, and this is the second of his 3 wins. The first was Marty. The second one is the film we'll be seeing, The Hospital, and the third is Network. A lot of people have not. A lot of people have seen Network and think,
Yeah.
well, how greatly it predicted what was going to become of the news, and I think it's really overshadowed The Hospital. And if you watch The Hospital, you'll see it's sort of an experiment on the way that Network would go with similar revelations and
All
stories.
right. Save it for the podcast.
Okay, have you
Julie, have you seen either The Hospital or Network? Yeah, I didn't think so.
Oh, really?
we saw
Network?
Network,
yeah?
right?
Don't give me that.
We might have to bring her on. I mean, this
Network's a
I'm
classic.
mad as hell.
Julia, the
That's it.
original genesis of this
I'm not going to
podcast
take it
was
anymore.
we had millennials on who had never seen any of these films, and we make them watch these films
Make
and
them.
get.
You like keep
Well,
their
you have to watch it to be on the podcast. No, well, you can. Whatever.
Julie,
how you-
some actually watched it
never
on the
watched
way to the
them.
podcast.
that, you know what? That would have
Yeah.
helped me last night. I fell asleep halfway.
Wait a minute,
through.
Ralph,
That would've
didn't
worked.
Hassan do one where he literally did not watch the movie?
And he actually,
brought
and
the
he
movie
actually,
to the table and didn't.
And it was his
did-
movie.
I
Right, and
watched
he-
one. I said, how come that guy doesn't say anything?
he actually
he
fell
didn't see the
asleep during
movie.
that podcast. I
I go,
think.
oh, that's an
to be honest.
interesting way to go after it.
So yeah, so we would bring, and you guys would, the millennials would watch, and then we get their take on it, and it's pretty interesting. So that'll be a good one. Sean, who directed The Hospital?
Arthur Hiller,
Oh, okay.
who's I would say his. This is probably his best film. Then maybe Silver Streak. I know some people.
Oh, I just watched that last week. I told you guys last week.
Yeah.
That's a fantastic film. Very funny.
Is that the
All right,
trailer?
well there you go. So next week we'll do The Hospital.
Okay.
Julia, great having you
Yeah,
on.
Julia, thank you.
Thanks.
I'm gonna immediately call your father and call him out
Yeah.
for his child abuse he did
Good
while you were
morning.
growing up.
Good morning.
And then
Get the
I'm
hell
sure
out of bed.
if we had any people commenting on this, I'd be getting a lot of crap from my view. But since nobody comments, who cares? It's all good. Nobody's gonna hear any of
Live
this.
your
I'm
truth.
definitely going to comment on this one, Ralph.
I know you are.
Definitely.
You always do.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, have a safe week.
Hey.
Hopefully, we'll stay out of the hospital for another week. You like the way I did that?
So then we can watch the hospital. Yeah. The
All right,
hospital, what
little
is
bit,
it? It's a
little
big building with
cross-promotion.
beds, but that's not important right now.
Here's a
See everybody next week.
Jazz
Jazz
hands.
hands. Everybody,
ya.
jazz hands.
It is
Gotta
a villain
dance.
ready for love.